Welcome back to another video, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about how to install aftermarket parking sensors on a W203. The principle is the same for any car really. I've done this on a few cars, but some of the specific steps I'm talking about, like how to remove the rear bumper, which wires are which on this car, will be specific obviously to the W203 Mercedes. So that's C Class, built between, I think it was like 2000 and 2007, something like that. It's a W203 chassis. So yeah, I don't have parking sensors, let me show you. A distinct lack of parking sensors. So I started this quite late in the day. What I'm going to do today is get the holes cut out for the parking sensors, and then what I'll do is I will paint the aftermarket ones I've got, scuff them up, paint them. I've already got a tin of the correct colour code paint for this. Then tomorrow, when they're dry and lacquered and everything, I can just install it and do the wiring and whatnot. So first things first, we need to find our paint colour. So on the W203, open the driver's door jamb, open the driver's door, and in the door jamb you'll see there, mine says C775, which is iridium silver. If you just Google this, so it's on this little placard, and it's the top left number, so C775 on mine. And that is, if you Google that, everything comes up saying iridium silver. Now luckily I already have a can of this from a while ago, from doing some work on my mum's Mercedes. They all seem to come in this silver, so I have a can of that and some clear coat. So let me show you what else you're going to need. Okay, so we've got some Scotch-Brite just to scuff the parking sensors up. You can use sandpaper, but Scotch-Brite just kind of conforms a bit easier. I've got the correct grades there, like a medium. With that, we've got the Mercedes iridium silver, which is what we'll need, but again use a colour matched can of yours. The Halfords, I won't use it for a big panel, but just for small parking sensors. It's probably a non-silver car as well, it's probably not going to be too far out. So seemed to work alright when I've done the parking sensors on my mum's car. So some clear lacquer from Halfords as well to finish off, and the actual parking sensor kit itself. And then obviously what you'll need is like a, oh that's a thought, my soldering iron blew up, better go get one. You'll need a soldering iron, some sort of heat shrink, connectors, all that sort of stuff, just general sort of electrical wiring stuff. I'll obviously, as you go through, you'll see what I use precisely. I'm not 100% sure yet until I tackle it myself. You can use Scotch locks or the ones where they clip into a wire and make a connection, but if I can avoid it, I don't like using them. I'd rather solder it in, because then I know it's kind of permanent. But if you don't want to hack into the original wiring on your car, you can use them, and they seem to do the job just fine. People use them for audio stuff, so can't see why it wouldn't work. These are the parking sensors from Euro Car Parts, I believe, when I bought them. I bought like 3 sets ages ago, done them on my mum's Volvo, and they kind of look a bit like this, so they're a bit weird looking, but I'm going to try them, see how I get on with them. If they're crap, if they just don't seem to work, then what I can do is the holes will be there on the bumper, and the wires are routed in and stuff, the infrastructure, so I can just swap this out for a better, more expensive set. But it does come with as well a little hole saw to drill the holes for the parking sensors, and all the associated wiring, the control box, the speaker, etc. That does feel really cheap actually, but we'll see how we get on. And I was hoping I could get away with just pulling off this strip here, because this is where the sensors are located on the W203, so I was hoping I could get away with just pulling off this strip and wiring the wiring through, threading the wiring through, but having had a look behind here, I don't think I can. What I'm going to have to do is put it in, take the bumper off, install this, run the wiring kind of up, and through there's like some vents down here that all cars have in the back. Run it through the vents and into the boot that way, and then I'm going to tap into the to activate it, I'm going to tap into the reverse light wire, so that when you put it in reverse, the reverse light comes on, so it gets a voltage, so the system will activate. That's what I've done in the past. And then we just put the speakers somewhere, which again might be a bit difficult because I don't know if I'll hear it in the boot. I'll have to test it. So there's a lot of kind of like trial and error. But first things first, let's get these sensors painted, and while the paint's like curing the couple of coats, I'll start cutting the holes out. So it's going to look a bit weird if I go anywhere tonight and I've just got holes in the bumper but no sensors, but that's fine, don't mind. So let me show you the painting setup. You know, it really makes you miss having a garage when the tripod barely fits in this little shed that I've got. But one day, when the housing market crashes, I might have a garage. Anyway, so we've scuffed them up, I've wiped them down, used like an isopropyl alcohol or a panel wipe or something to wipe them off so there's no grease. We don't need to prime them, they're already kind of like gel coated, so because I've scuffed them up. They're going silver, I'll just do a few coats of it. So just first coat, pretty light, hit from all angles. Get it from the other side. Pretty awkward when the camera's here, but nice light coat, and let that dry for sort of 10-15 minutes, and then I will come back and do another coat. Hopefully it'll come out nice and light, but it's hard to tell in here because the lighting's pretty terrible, but the metallic seems to be flowing well. I've really shaken the can up really nice, so yeah, we'll get a few coats of this on and then we'll put some of the lacquer on as well. So I'm going to get out of here before I get gassed out. I'll come back to you when we've got them painted. Okay, colour's looking good on the parking sensors. I just need to put the lacquer on now. I've done 3 coats of the colour, it looks real nice, inspected it under a light. What I've done here is, very luckily, I had when I went to the scrapyard last, there was a W203 with factory park sensors, so I ripped this off. It was in a fire, as you can tell. I ripped this off, I've ripped the park sensors out, and I measured from this edge in, and then from the bottom up, and I got a cross mark. So I did that. I'll tell you the measurements in a second when I reconfirm, just in case you also have a W203 and you don't have one of these, which is very likely. So, and then also I put a strip of tape all across here. It wasn't very accurate, I ended up having to put a few pieces of tape and overlap and whatnot, and drew the outline of the circles and then found where the centres were, and then overlaid that on the marks I'd already made, and they were pretty much there. So I trusted the measurements, because when I was putting the tape back on my one, I kind of didn't get it exactly in the right place, but I just wanted to confirm that my measurements were in pretty much the right place, because obviously you don't need to be absolutely 1000% millimetre perfect, but you're going to see when you look across them if they're off. It does curve very slightly as well, it comes out, but you are going to see them if they're off. So the measurements are, the outer ones are, give me a sec. So I was measuring from the centre of the hole and both ways, so from the centre horizontally and vertically, and again it's quite rough because I can't get an exact centre point, but for the outer two, both sides obviously it's symmetrical. It's about 4.5 mil, so, and you'll end up measuring it about halfway up on this. Obviously this isn't a dead straight line, it kind of goes like that. So when you, see if I can show you this one-handed. When you measure and put it actually on, I laid it flat on it, it's about 4.5. And this measurement from the inner two to the outside edge, again across that same sort of line, is 42 and a bit, like 42.3. You could probably go 42.5 if you wanted, because it's just going to move it in very slightly. But as long as you do it on both sides, obviously it'll be symmetrical. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did. So I'm going to now drill into it, which is the scary part. So I'm not using the hole saw just yet. I'm going to drill a pilot hole. I don't have a smaller drill bit than this, which is annoying, but I'm using a wood drill bit just because it has the I find it good for plastic, and it has the sort of sharp end on it, so I can dig that into the plastic and then start drilling so it doesn't move. High speed on this, and we will drill that, and it's very scary, but we'll see how we go, and then I'll do the hole saw and drill the holes out, and we'll see if it actually looks even or not. Keep the plastic on when you're drilling the holes out, it tends to make the edges neater, although we will clean it up with a bit of Scotch-Brite or sandpaper afterwards to make it look neat and ready for the park sensors tomorrow. So let's go with that, I'll set you up. So dig it in and then make sure I'm going straight so my head will be in the way here. Okay, that's one. Let's do the rest. Scary. Okay, use the hole saw now. This hole saw looks really rough, but well, we'll see. I'll get the job done, I guess. So put the tip in the hole that you've already created, and then keep it straight. And it'll punch out a little disc, and I'll get that out with some pliers in a sec. Okay, on the outside ones there was like an extra layer inside or something. I think it's some sort of tab to hold it in maybe. Really annoying, but you kind of just gotta. I lost the hole saw in the other one, so I'll get that back when I take the bumper off. But luckily I had another set of these park sensors, so I had the hole saw there. But you can probably just file it out anyway. But yeah, it got stuck in it, like went behind. I was like, oh no. Anyway, so yeah, just went around it. Again, I will just very lightly scuff this up, just to take the lip off. And when the sensors sit on the cover, if there's any like on this one, there's a tiny bit of bubbling going on, but the sensors kind of cover that anyway. So just clean the hole up and you'll be fine. Yeah, the sensors lip will get that off. So yeah, just waiting for the sensors to dry now. But I think that looks pretty even. Hopefully I'm holding the camera straight, but that looks pretty even. And again, on your car, whether it's a W203 or not, it's just a matter of finding where you want them and putting them in the the correct place. Just make sure they're equal. Measure twice, measure 3 times, measure 8 times, cut once, because you can't undo this. And if it's going directly into your bumper, you're going to need a new bumper. I'm lucky I can just take this middle tab out. You have to take the sides off, but you can take the middle tab out and just replace that, worst case scenario. If there was a silver one of these with the factory holes, I would have got it anyway and just put that in, and then just put the sensors in, maybe enlarge this hole, but obviously there was only a black one, so waiting for the sensors to dry, and then I guess I'll go to Halfords maybe tonight and get some Scotch locks, and then we'll see what we're dealing with tomorrow. Okay, next day we're working in the rain because we live in England. So I've removed, there's a little section around where the boot latches. You can just pull that out with your hands, and then obviously I've removed this already, but basically it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these style fittings, so they'll look like that when you get to them, like this. All you need to do is just get a little pick in there, or you can even get a real small screwdriver bit, and let's see if I can hang the camera in the right place, and then do this as well. Pull them up, and there's 2 parts to them. There's this outer part, and sometimes the inner part will come out with them, sometimes you just have to, it'll stay in there, and you just pick that out with the pick as well. So remove all those. There's some clips at the side which kind of hold the fabric into it, so remove this, get this out of the way. We're going to need this out of the way really. So there's 2 clips at the back, if you see here, and these are the type where you can just pry them up with a pry bar. So if I get you in there, if I just do that, they don't come out, they're kind of already in the carpet. If I just get under that one as well, there we go. Now I can move this, put this inside, out the rain. We're also just going to need to pull the side pockets back, just so we can get in to some bolts down there. Not side pockets, pull the side carpet trims back. So pull that, and there will be a clip somewhere down there. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's a clip. You can there's a clip in the bottom here, under that 20p. There's a clip you can remove in the bottom, or you can just move them back and get to the bolts. So I can see the bolts here, but I'm going to move it out of the way just to be on the safe side. And that's one of these styles, where you pull the centre up, and then the whole thing comes out. And we can kind of. So now we have a bit of access. Try not to keep this folded for too long; it might break it or go into a weird shape. So the bolts we need to remove from down here are these 2 16mm. There's one. Let's see if I can focus on that. There's one there, and then one directly under it, and then there's a 10mm here. This blue one up on the. Well, mine's marked blue, just up on here. We need to remove that as well. Need to remove these. I think these are 16mm as well, but I'll confirm. So there's one either side, and then the same bolts on the other side. So 2 16mm and then a 10mm. So let's remove those and come back to you. Okay, there's also one more 10mm on each side, just under the rear lights. See if the contrast will do anything on that. There we go. Okay, so just take that one off. 10mm, and this side just under the rear lights as well. 10mm. Keep these in a safe place, and then that is everything at the back that you need to take off. And now what we need to do is go to the wheel arch. hopefully I can stick the camera up in here so you can see. A real arch, and there is, up in here, where the in this gap, there's a 10mm socket there, 10mm bolt, sorry, up in there. You'll see it's pretty obvious. Now you can do this with the wheel and the car on the ground. If you want, jack it up so you've got a bit more room, but I'm going to just do it like this because I can't be bothered to jack the car up. And then also just any of those little plastic clips where the centre comes out that are just in here as well, so you can get the contrast to work again. Yep, okay, so there's one down there. Probably won't be able to see it, but there's a clip down there, and then just any clips like at the bottom that clearly attached to the bumper. Just take those out on both sides, and then we're nearly there. And then there's just the exhaust hanger to remove, which is actually bolted to the bumper, which is a really good idea. I've got a different exhaust, like a backbox delete. You've got two methods. It's up here, you can actually unbolt it from the bumper and then just push the whole assembly back up the exhaust. Mine's kind of not hanging on this one as much as the other one, so I could probably do that. But my neighbour's just said he's got an actual tool for removing the hangers, because they come off over this bit and it's really annoying to get off if you don't have the tool. Like, you'll be pulling it forever, but you can get a presser. So I'm going to try that, and then that's the last thing that you need to remove in order to take the bumper off these finally. Okay, so now the bumper's off. What I ended up doing was taking the hanger off, taking the rubber off the hanger with a tool, like a puller, and then that's the exhaust there, and then the bumper will slide off. I missed a clip, so mine was still hanging on in one place on the side, one of these clips, and it wouldn't come out, so I kind of had to push it through. But yeah, now we are off, and you can see we have access to the back of the bumper, so you can see the holes that we've drilled actually through there. So routing the wires actually through here should be absolutely, you know, a piece of cake. Route them through here, and I'll maybe tuck them under this plastic for a bit of guidance. And then we just need to figure out how we're going to get it into the actual car, because these are the holes where the bolts go. These are like little drain holes. Well, to be fair, I could put it into this drain hole here at either side. It's like a little bung. That one's destroyed anyway. Maybe put it through there and through here maybe. We'll see. Again, the other option is through these vents, put them up, but we'll see. What I might do is I might clean all this off because it's a bit grotty at the minute and I can't really see what I'm working with, so clean all this off, and then we'll start figuring out how to put them in. Okay, so the park sensors are in. Pretty level. The annoying thing is they do stick out a tiny bit at the top. I don't think they'll ever wear themselves loose, but also I'm going to just put a cable tie around the back of the body, just to hold them in place. As for the wiring, I think these two can come inside the car, probably straight here on this grommet. I'll just drill a hole through it. These two can go in there. I'll probably put the unit up here and just put it under here. And then yeah, I need to see which wires, once I've got all that in, which wires are for which, but we'll figure that out once we've got it all inside the car. Let's go. Okay, so I ended up wiring the threading the wires through the where I pointed out those little bungs. Just drilled a hole in the middle of them, probably like 4 or 5 mil, and force the heads of the plugs through, and then that way at least they're still fairly tight. There's not going to be like loads of excess water going in. You could even put a bit of silicone around there if you wanted to. So got everything back on, check the panel gaps and stuff. Just be careful when you're putting the bumper back on. Quite heavy, handy if you have someone to help you. But sorry, my assistant is just over there. The park sensors are in. As soon as I got the bumper back on and secured and whatnot, I basically identified put the unit together. So most units look like this. You have the 4 holes for the sensor, or 4 plugs for the sensors, 1 for the speaker going out and then 1 for the power. And what you want to do is you want to send this to a switched live and a earth. And on the tail lights, at least on the right hand side, I think the plugs are actually different on the other side. But on this side, on the right hand side, if you're looking at the car, the yellow and grey wire is your power, what you want to switch. So it's when the reverse lights come on, that gets power. And then the brown is your earth, so you want to put that to there. And then what I did was I just peeled a bit of the insulation back at first, plugged it all in, put this back in, because if it detects like there's a bulb out or anything, or if this isn't in, it won't send power to it. So make sure that was in properly. Just turn the ignition on, not the car on, put it in neutral, walk around the back and confirm that I could hear it. And yeah, the buzzer was working. A bit far away though. I think I'm going to end up miles away still, but at least you kind of know I know what distance that is, so you know I can kind of go, oh, I'll just go a little bit further. We'll see, might catch me out. But so now I have stripped the insulation back a bit more, soldered them in. You can use T-tap connectors or anything like that, but I ended up soldering them in. So I'll put some electrical tape around there, you know, get it nice and secure, and then I've got to put the loom tape back around. I've got a bit of extra loom tape to go back around there. And then I'm going to just locate the unit. Instead of having it in that pocket, because that's going to have this in, I'm going to just put it up here to give you sticky pads with the kit. I'm just going to put it here and here. Important as well to note is I also made sure I closed the boot and got someone to walk near the car to make sure that I could hear it, because obviously this is in the boot or the trunk if you're in America. So I just wanted to make sure I could hear the speaker in the cab. It's a bit quiet, but I can hear it. So you turn your music down when you're reversing anyway to help you see better. So it'll be fine. So yeah, I'm just going to tidy this up and then I'll show you the installation once we've got it all buttoned away. Okay, so nearly finalised setup. I've got the wires coming through here, and they just follow the OEM loom for the lights and stuff. I'm just peel this back because I started putting it back in. I got too carried away. I've got the wires coming in through here for this side, through that grommet I showed you earlier, and then I've just got the box up there and the speaker there. So I'm just going to double check that I can still hear it. I've taped the speaker position, like volume control, over to high so I can still hear it. I'm just going to put this back over it, make sure I can still hear it, and then I'll finish putting the rest of the interior back together. But yeah, just tested it a second ago for functionality. Works great, so see if I can still hear it. And just like that, you'd never know anything was here. So yeah, it's all tucked behind there. It's sat pretty nicely, and I tested and you can still hear it. It's loud. It's almost louder outside, I think, because it's just against that outside quarter. You can just hear it outside, almost like a reversing alarm, I guess. In theory, if you bump anyone because they've ran behind you, they should have known better. But yeah, you can hear it in the car. Again, I'll just have to get used to how far away I actually am. But yeah, works. So there you go. That is how you can install easily a parking sensor kit on your car. So main steps are, and the most daunting steps, I guess, getting the holes right for the actual sensors. That's really important. Otherwise, you know, you can put them anywhere, but you're going to notice. And if you're like me, you'll see them off center or wonky, you know, across the line, and you'll just hate it. So, so yeah, that's the most daunting step, I think. And then once you've got them in, it's just pulling the wiring through, finding a place for it. That's the hardest bit. Cleaning it up. So I took a lot of time to actually just coil excess wire up and cable tie it together. I followed the loom. I didn't want wires everywhere. I mean, you can do that. That's fine. If you're happy with that, that's fine. Gets it done a lot quicker. And then just made sure I tucked it away. Triple tested it. Splice it into the wiring isn't that difficult if you don't like soldering. You can get a T-tap connector. So you've got the wire, you've got a little connector, and it kind of just makes a connection. Just a little spike goes through, makes a connection, and then in theory you could rip the whole system out, and there's just a little tiny pinhole that you need to cover it with electrical tape. So that's an option if you don't want to sort of permanently attach something into your wiring. Yeah, so there you go. Again, this is specific for the W203, but the actual steps I've done really can be applied to any car. So hopefully that helped. If you did, please subscribe. You know, that really helps me out, and thank you for watching. See you later.